Yes, it is. Live from the heartland, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. What do you want in your foxhole? It's an important question to ask every single day. I want God in my foxhole, that's for sure. It's just breaking daylight. We've got a lot to do here today, so let's get moving. The Steve Gruber Show often results, by the way, in extended periods of American pride, American optimism, and uncontrollable enthusiasm about this country's future. You have been warned. Here we go. 3 big things this hour. Number 1, MSNBC is dead. I mean it. It's officially dead. Its rebranding is underway now. MS Now. It's so bad. Seems all those left-wing networks are falling into financial ruin. That's what happens when you lie about everything. Number 2, the Democrats have fled Texas and are now giving up and returning home to face the fact that there will be redistricting in the Lone Star State. Nothing to be done to stop it. And number 3, yesterday marked a potentially pivotal moment towards peace in Eastern Europe, as President Zelenskyy of Ukraine met with President Trump and a coalition of European leaders to discuss an end to the Russo-Ukraine War. There were no guarantees, no promises, but we're told significant progress. That according to President Trump. More meetings to come, we're told. Listen to this.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have the President of Ukraine with us. We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very, very substantial progress in many ways. If everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat, and I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
A reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that. Now, Trump has been on the phone with Putin since this time. They're looking for a place for a trilateral meeting, which was discussed. The tone was very different from that February meeting. Cooler heads prevailed. J.D. Vance didn't need to deliver a lesson. Zelenskyy even wore a suit of sorts, for this part of the meeting at least. Trump even made note of it, remarking on it. Here he is.
The best I have.
Ready, face?
We love them. We love them.
So there it is, right from the get-go. Of course, it's not really about the suit. It's about the message. It's about whether or not Zelenskyy steps foot on U.S. soil feeling entitled or being grateful, whether he was going to be cooperative or stubborn. Now, he started this discussion in public by saying thank you to President Trump, apparently learning his lesson from the last time when the vice president had to call him out for not saying thank you even once. Listen to this.
And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank
Please.
you for invitation and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, she, First Lady of Ukraine, she gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
It's not for you, it's for your wife. Zelenskyy's wife's letter was another nod at diplomacy. A thank you of sorts to the First Lady Melania, who wrote a touching letter to Vladimir Putin asking him to restore the sound of children laughing in Ukraine by ending the war. But the end of the war still seems not in sight. Zelenskyy understandably doesn't want to give up any parts of Ukraine. Putin predictably wants portions of Ukraine he doesn't even currently occupy. He wants it all. Putin has demanded the secession of the entire Donetsk and Luhansk regions. His military forces currently occupy around 3/4 of that land, but he has been unable to invade a small section, and he wants Zelenskyy to hand it over. It's more significant than the size would suggest. The reason he's been able to break through to those cities is because they are huge population centers housing some of Ukraine's top military sites. In addition, Ukraine is concerned that if Putin is handed those cities, that region, he'd be able to access the rest of Ukraine when he chooses sometime in the future. As I said yesterday, there are going to be tough choices to be made, tough choices. President Zelenskyy says his country's constitution makes it impossible to give up territory, a move that should only be discussed at a trilateral meeting in the first place. Here he is.
Russia is still unsuccessful in Donetsk region. Putin has been unable to take it for 12 years. And the constitution of Ukraine makes it impossible to give up territory or trade land. Since the territorial issue is so important, it should be discussed only by the leaders of Ukraine and Russia at the trilateral Ukraine, United States, Russia. So far, Russia gives no sign that trilateral will happen, and if Russia refuses, then new sanctions must follow.
So, a national referendum would need to pass in Ukraine to cede territory to Russia to end the war, with a majority of all Ukrainians voting to amend their constitution. That would be required to make it work. To call it an uphill battle is an understatement. Are the Ukrainians tired enough of war to give up land? Maybe. The answer will probably be no without some security guarantees, promises that Europe will shore up Ukrainian defenses against any future attacks by Putin. But we've been there before. Putin allegedly agreed to some form of security guarantee in Ukraine with Russia while he was in Alaska. And Trump says Europe needs to be the one to provide that kind of support. It has to come from Europe. Listen to this.
Reinforce my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out, and I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure.
This is the guy, President Donald Trump, that we've been told over and over again was going to start World War III. And I can't help but be amazed by how much of a unifying world leader he showed himself to be again yesterday at the White House. It's pretty incredible that you can stand strong on America First principles and continue to be respected by leaders around the world and bring them together to work on peace. It was a remarkable turn of events. We're going to get into that in just a moment here. I appreciate you being here. Remember, you can watch live on YouTube every day. You can catch us on X and other places, but YouTube seems to be the place that we seem to be drifting toward. Seem to like that the most. Everybody tells me it's the best app. We want to go where you have the best ability to catch the program, the best app if you're traveling or moving around. Glad to have you here. We'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Let's pick up the discussion right there with these European leaders. All right? Let's pick up the discussion there because it's very important. Many of these leaders are liberal, socialist even. Some of them running their countries into the ground with open borders and woke nonsense, who have criticized President Trump numerous times before. They still had glowing words of praise for our president. Listen to this.
I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years.
An important day, a new phase, after 3 years and a half that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you.
To ahead, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years in relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point, so I thank you for that.
I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock basically with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call, and from there we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to.
The rest of the world understands what much of the mainstream media apparently cannot. Opening up dialogue with President Putin last weekend was monumental. It was a good thing. Something no one else could do. What's even more impressive is that he's keeping up that dialogue, even while dealing with the very people that Putin would consider his enemies. All true. Listen.
We just spoke to, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting.
Yeah. He's expecting a call, which he got, by the way. But the media just doesn't get it. The pea-brained Trump haters act like Trump's the one who invaded Ukraine. Of course, Trump's not surprised by the animosity, but he does call it a phenomenon that seems particular to his presidency, because, well, it is. Here's what he said.
The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, you know, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about. It was a big one. But they don't even write about that.
Yeah. Word on the street is that yesterday was not expected to be the end-all, be-all, but rather an important step along the way. Of course, Zelenskyy is not going to just swallow Putin's territorial proposals whole on the first go, but he can't dig in and make only demands with no concessions. Hopefully, he contributes some meaningful suggestions toward compromise. I'm sorry, but that's the way this is going to have to go. Because that's what's going to have to happen for peace, which is still Trump's end goal. Not a ceasefire, peace. Listen.
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept. You know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
Yeah. White House sources say that yesterday, hopefully, fast-tracked a peace deal toward a matter of weeks instead of months or years. If they're right, the Nobel Peace Prize for Donald Trump should be in the bag. Who knows, though? If there's one thing that we can take away from yesterday, it's that we can hold our head high when our president leads on the world stage. He's strong, he's effective, and he's even civil. In the most high pressure of situations, truly a remarkable thing to behold. So there you have it. Donald Trump leading on the world stage. Are you tired of being at the mercy of propane prices? Well, how about if you've got a water well, you're already halfway to energy independence. And it's not just propane. It's heating oil, even wood. Add a well connect in just 8 hours and cut your heating bills by half while cooling your home more efficiently, too. No excavation, no major renovation, no more surprise fill-ups from big propane. No. A well connect, if you've got a well in your yard. If you've got a well in your yard, you're halfway to a geothermal system. This is a system that adds on to your existing system. And I want you to look at this closely. By the way, they're also looking for dealers across the country, from New York to Minnesota to Montana. If you're in the northern part of the country, they're looking for dealers. This is a patented made-in-America system. Changes everything. Like I said, add a well connect in as little as 8 hours, start saving big. You'll cut your heating costs by up to 50%, extend the life of your furnace, cool your home more efficiently, too, all without major renovation. It's the fastest, most affordable way to bring geothermal home. And you can learn more right now at wellconnectgeo.com. Made in Michigan, built for your well. Yeah, it's a beautiful system. We've had them on here a number of times. It can really save you a pile of money. Propane, heating oil, wood, maybe natural gas, but the other ones are much more likely to be a perfect fit. And by the way, you've got some government rebates that are going to run out at the end of the year because of the big, beautiful bill. It's going to eliminate some of these big rebates. So if you're interested, now's the time to do it. If you finance the system, your savings on the system will beat whatever you're paying. I'm telling you, I believe in American companies and innovation. I believe in WellConnect. You should check into it. Take a look. If you're a dealer, an HVAC dealer, take a look. They're looking for dealers all over America. New Hampshire, Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, all those great cold northern states, all right? I'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show.